Let's see if we can't give a veteran a YouTube boost. Stick with us, we've got a channel review coming right up. Alright, so, as you may or may not know, during our live streams, I often do channel reviews for people, and those are becoming more and more popular, but they're becoming less frequent. And so, if you really want a channel review, you can reach out to us, and we do have a paid option, and that's what this is, our first paid channel review. So, full disclosure, want to get that out there right at the top. And so, Branded Veteran reached out to us and elected to go for the paid review. So here we go. Let's dive right into it. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on with his channel, help him maybe get a boost going forward, set him up for success in the future, and stick with us because the things that apply to one channel generally apply to a lot of other channels too. If you'd be interested in getting a review like this, reach out to us. We can see what we can do. We can work something out. And if you'd like a free review, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. That way you'll get a notification when I go live, and you can increase your chances of getting a free review, but it's kind of like a bit of a lottery because I kind of just pick channels from chat when that happens, since it is free. So anyways, let's dive right in and take a look for Branded Veteran and see what we can find. Just getting everything loading here. The profile picture's not loading for me for some reason. That's a little, there it goes. That's actually a really cool picture. I like that. So it's a nice kind of animated avatar there. So what the avatar has going for it that's really nice is it's bright, it's light, it's got a smile, it's friendly, it's very colorful, it's engaging. Those are all great things. The one thing that is lacking, and full disclosure before I get too deep into this, I'm going to be pretty brutal because if I just sit here and say nice things about your channel, that's not going to give you a whole lot of useful things. What we want to do is give you specific action items, things that you can do to improve your channel. And so as a result, some of what I say might come off as a little harsh, but that's what I'm here for. And it's all about trying to make you successful. So even if it sounds super critical, it's coming from a place of support, and that I really hope that it takes you to a better place. And again, feel free to, follow or ignore the advice as you see fit. So anyways, with the profile picture, it's very nice, colorful, and that's great. The one thing that it doesn't have going for it is it doesn't tell me what the channel is about. Now, that's not necessarily a big thing. It's not like a cardinal sin or anything. I think part of... there's a lot of issues around the profile picture. It scales down really small, so you have to make sure that it looks good in sort of like really tiny dimensions. There's not a lot of space. It's always round. So there's a lot of things you don't really control. And you want to try and do a bunch of things all at once. You want to be appealing, and you hopefully would like to convey what your channel's about. It's not always possible to do all of those things simultaneously. So it's nice if you can, but don't beat yourself up over it if you can't. It's a common enough struggle. I think this is a very good profile picture. I don't have specific recommendations about the profile picture. I think it works. So the name is Branded Veteran. I've got my TubeBuddy browser plugin installed. If you don't have TubeBuddy, even the free version has over 30 tools that are essential for managing your channel. They will save you time, give you suggestions for things like tags and topics, help you do keyword research. It's super, super useful, even the free version. If you decide you do want to get the paid version where you can do more searches and get more tools, and some of the existing tools get supercharged, when you have less than 1,000 subscribers, you can get 50% off. And then if you pay a year in advance, you can get an additional 20% off. So it works out to less than $4 per month. I think that's a really good investment. That's for the lower paid tier. And then it kind of goes up from there. For the higher tiers, or for anyone with more than 1,000 subscribers, we have a special 20% discount code in our Facebook group. If you go check that out, it's facebook.com/groups/small-YouTubers-boost. Check out the announcements. That's where you'll find the code. But to get TubeBuddy, we've got a link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you do happen to get a paid plan, that does benefit us a little bit. But using that link doesn't change the price. So full disclosure there, I find it super useful. TubeBuddy is a website, it's a browser plugin, and it's a mobile app. And for me, I think the browser plugin is the most powerful part, although I use all three. I use the mobile app and the browser plugin daily. The website I go to intermittently. So anyways, what you see here on the right-hand side of my screen is we've got the Search Explorer, and it's giving a score to the term that I just searched. When you have the browser plugin installed, every time you do a search on YouTube, you will get a score like that. And I think that's really helpful because it raises awareness, and you can start to see what search terms do better than others. And the score there, the 45 out of 100, which is rated as a good, it has two main components. One is the search volume. How often is this being searched? Now, in this case, it's a name, so it's probably not being searched very much because it's a relatively new channel, relatively small channel, just getting started. So that is on the poor side of things, and that is to be expected. But you'll also notice that the competition is all the way in the green, which means there's no competition really for this name, which means it's a solid name. It has uniqueness about it. And so it's not like you're going after a very common name, and you're not going after a name that other people have sort of already operated in the space as. So your name, I think, is very good. It's well for you. Again, the name Branded Veteran makes me think that you're former armed services, and presumably you are. I want to say thank you for your service. Your former armed services, and that now you're probably getting into entrepreneurship is what I would think. The branded part makes me think that. So maybe you're going to talk about transitioning out of the service into entrepreneurship. I think that could be a very interesting subject if that's what your channel is about. I'm going step by step here from an outsider's perspective, knowing nothing about your channel, so that you can maybe see what a stranger thinks about your channel. The benefit of that is when we create our profile picture, our thumbnails, our channel name, our banner art, our titles, our audience is strangers. For the people that are families and friends and people who love us and support us, those things, you know, whatever you do, they'll probably be there for you to some degree. And then your subscribers and your true fans, you know, they'll probably look at the title a little bit. Oh, is this subject interesting to me? And things like that. But the things that you will do to entice a stranger will also work on your close family, friends, loved ones, subscribers, and true fans as well. So if we focus on the stranger, that is an effective sort of mindset to be at when you're beginning any part of the process, whether it's I got to create a thumbnail today or I got to create my channel today. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that's what I'm trying to offer here, going in blind. So I didn't ask for a link to the channel, I asked for the name so that I could search for it. A lot of YouTubers spend a lot of time focusing on their videos. How does my video rank in search? And that is very important. But a little bit of time should be spent, certainly at the beginning and maybe periodically, looking at how your channel appears in search. Because as you can see here, that is one way that people will find you. If you're talking to someone at a convention, or you meet somebody at a party, or you're hanging out in the park with your dog and somebody starts talking to you, then you mention the name of your channel, they might go search that. And so this is sort of a first impression moment, as might strangers. So that's part of why I'm looking at it from this point of view. So when you come up in search results, it pulls from the About page on your channel. And that's sort of like your channel description, functionally. But it doesn't pull very much. It pulls something in the neighborhood of 100 some odd characters. That's less than a tweet. And then it cuts it off with a little ... So what happens at the very beginning of your channel description, what you put there can be critically important in this moment if somebody happens to search your channel. And so you're going to want to be just ruthless and very judicious about what you say at the beginning. Every word, every character needs to be considered for those first 100 or so characters, so that you're not wasting space, wasting time. You're appealing to a stranger, remember, and people are generally lazy. They want things spelled out for them quickly and in an interesting and entertaining way. They might not have the patience to read through things that aren't giving them value. So with that in mind, looking at what I'm seeing here, it says, hello, my name is Branded Veteran, and I'm an alcoholic. Oops, wrong meeting. That's very funny. I like that. My name is Branded Veteran, and this ... So, you know, I'm generally against sort of the conversational opening in search results. When you go to Google or Wikipedia or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever, and you search something, the search results, you're not looking for the opening of a conversation. You want to know if you found what you're looking for. You want value, you want clarity, and you want it quickly. And this is, you know, so saying hello, for example, doesn't necessarily add to that. In fact, it can take away from that because people are lazy. Their lazy eyes might just move on to the very next thing in the list. So I would probably still lose the hello. I like the humor. I think the joke is funny. And so while it doesn't hit my usual targets of like SEO, that's search engine optimization, where you use specific words, keywords, tags, whatever you want to call it, so that when people search, your thing will come up. That's an important strategy, but that doesn't always translate into humor. And sometimes humor's better because humor will help you stand out from a crowd. It'll put a smile on someone's face. When someone's smiling, they're more open to new ideas. When someone's smiling, neuroscience tells us they're 31% smarter, if you can believe it. So study after study has proven that. So in people in a good mood, they're smarter, they're happier, they're more open to things. That's the state we probably want them in. We want them feeling good. So I would probably keep the joke. I would drop hello and just say, my name is Brendan Veteran, and like that is all fine. I think the dots you use before and after oops are a little more than you need. I think just 3. And again, I'm being ruthless with characters here, but that's because it gives us space at the end for something that will also intrigue and add value to people. So for the 3 dots between before and after, the number of dots before and after oops should be 3. 3 before, 3 after. That'll get you a couple of little characters there to play with, as well as dropping the word hello. The very next sentence, I think, doesn't necessarily help. It, in a script, it would create character and atmosphere, but that's not what this is. This isn't a script, and it also is somewhat repetitive. Repetitiveness in a video in other places can be good. It can reinforce ideas, offer clarity, give people a second chance to understand something, but not here. Especially on the very second line. Repeating yourself on the very second line, I don't think adds value. So what I would suggest is the second line I would lose, or perhaps push further down so that it doesn't appear in the preview here. What I would really suggest is right after the word meeting, you pivot immediately to what you're about. And if that includes some sort of a value proposition, then so much the better. Because as it stands right now, I think you're funny, I think you are a veteran, I think you might be about entrepreneurship, and that is about all I know about your channel, but that is assumption after assumption after assumption based on very little information. So what I'm asking or suggesting that you do is spell it out for people in your second sentence. That's my advice. So that's a couple action items there if you choose to follow it. Some most used tags that TubeBuddy has associated with this is small town, funny, comedy, redneck, country boy, country, how country am I? That's kind of interesting. And I'm kind of excited about that. I'm not a particularly country person. I'm a city boy. But I like there was a Canadian sitcom called Corner Gas that made that was hilarious. And I don't want to say it made fun of small towns, although I mean it certainly did at times, but it also kind of added a dimension to them. They were caricatures because it was a comedy, but at the same time, it wasn't like pointing and laughing. It was like laughing at itself. And so I found that really enjoyable. So I really liked Corner Gas, and this makes me think that it might be in a similar vein. And I find like great comedy is like when you find something that suits your personality that you love forever. It's like a fine wine. And so that's kind of exciting for me in that perspective. So if you are indeed a comedy channel, you can say we poke fun at small town living. Or a small town comedy channel, or small town comedy, with a good old country boy or something. That might be a working. And again, any of these suggestions I use, you can use. You can use verbatim. I give you permission. If you think it would work for you, but then that would at least give them the idea about the small town and the comedy, because right now comedy is hinted at and small town is not. In terms of what I see just in that first result. I realize on the screen it is showing video results. I'm very intentionally ignoring them because I'm assuming that the lazy person will not go and read those. And so we'll go in and look at the channel. Again, it's a channel review, not a video review. So I'm going to focus at the channel level as much as possible. So I'm going to dive into the channel here. And so we have some interesting things to begin with. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. I'm going to start with the banner. The banner has some things going for it. There's the picture of you with the bandana. I don't know if that's sort of like a whilst serving thing or if it's sort of like a COVID thing. I don't know. But that's sort of interesting to me. It could be made a little bit more clear. And this is an unusual time we're in, and we don't want to design a banner for a time, usually. You kind of want your banner to be there for like a long period of time. You shouldn't need to reset it too often. So making that more clear might be nice, but it's not necessary. We kind of get to see you there, which is good. We have a picture over there that initially I was like, is that the African savannah? Like, were you deployed to Africa? And then I look a little bit more closely, and I see clearly that on the left and on the far right is cows. The coloring, I think, would indicate that they're female cows, heifers, I think. And then there's, I think, a bull there. And so when I initially, those two pictures, the sort of the bandana, which is kind of like, protection from the desert, and that's why I thought Africa at first. And then I look a little bit more carefully. Now that I see that it's cows, I'm like, okay, that might be a little bit more likely to be that small town thing that we were speaking of, perhaps farming and things like that. One way that you could consider breaking the association of those two pictures together is move like the cow picture to the other side of the banner. That might be something to consider. Speaking of the other side of the banner, we've got your picture there again. Again, it's a good picture. It's nice. There's some consistency. It feels a little unbalanced because you've got these two Polaroid type pictures over here. Another one over here, the one on the other side is well out of frame for part of it that I don't know what that is. I'll look a little more closely in a minute. And then you've got the profile picture there, which is a smaller size. It's a different kind. So that's, I'm just thinking about what you could do with that. Because it looks, you've got the version in the profile picture, and again, I don't think that needs any changing. If you wanted to, I'm just thinking about ways you could clarify that, like, it's small town comedy or something. It's almost like if you had like a reed or something coming out of your mouth, maybe, but I don't know. That might be going too far. I think it's really good the way it is. But what you could do with that is to mix it up a little bit, and the squareness around it is, I don't know, it's a little jarring in the image. It doesn't seem to flow like the white backgrounds on the other pictures. What you might be able to do is very easily, since it's an animated picture, is crop yourself from the background and make the background transparent. You could do that by saving it as a PNG, or you could do it in Photoshop for the whole image. I'm not sure what you use. I'm personally a Photoshop guy. And then make it a little larger. And then I would suggest you've got a couple of options. If you just want to have the head, assuming you've got a larger copy of that includes the full hat, if you just wanted the head, you could put that sort of in the middle, just maybe below Branded Veteran or something. And maybe you'd actually need to shrink it a little bit if you do that, or you could move Branded Veteran up and then put it underneath, whatever works for you. Alternatively, you could keep the whole thing sans the background. So the head, the neck, the shoulders and the hand waving, and then put it over on the side like you're coming in from the side of the banner. The trick with that is the banner will look different in different devices. So I would be careful about that. If you decide to go that way, it could look good, but you want to do it carefully. Maybe you could be coming out of the side of one of the pictures. I don't know. Just some different ideas I'm throwing out there that you may or may not want to play with. Yeah, and what you can do is you can Google very easily a template for the banner on YouTube that will have all the various dimensions. And so those will be represented by boxes usually. There's a lot of free ones out there. Don't go somewhere where you have to give them your email. You shouldn't need to do that. You should just be able to, you can do an image search and probably find a good one. But then make sure that nothing critical is outside the smallest box, because that will be seen on every device. And also then look at where the box's lines are for those non-critical pieces. And if the line is cutting in the middle of a picture, is that good? Are you okay with that? Or you might want to move things around a little bit to make sure it looks good on all devices. I'm currently using the Firefox browser on a desktop computer on Windows 10 for whatever that's worth. So this is how it's looking to me. In the top right here, we have an image. My first thought is that it's like a sideways picture of an old-timey postal truck. That was my first thought. Looking a little bit closer now, property of U.S. government, carbine something. Oh wait, is that a weapon? I would have sworn up and down. I thought it was a postal truck. Then I thought it was like farm equipment, and now I'm starting to think that is like weaponry of some kind. A rifle or something, perhaps. 50 cal or something, I don't know. Oh, that's actually probably got the measurement on there. Just can't quite make it out. Looks like it's in millimeters. Anyways, don't know what the heck that is. So, some of the things that you could do is pull that image a little bit in. so that it's a little bit more visible from this point of view. It may or may not benefit from having been rotated or zooming out a little. I don't know, but that's a little unclear. And so I'm guessing that that's speaking to the military background. And so it's an interesting Venn diagram that you live in terms of the military background and the small town life, and potentially, I'm hoping the third one's comedy, because I dig that, and I think we could all use more comedy right about now, don't you think? And so I think that's awesome, but I'm not fully getting the comedy from this. I'm getting hints of small town and military, but not comedy, if that is sort of that third part of your Venn diagram. One thing that you're doing very well here is you have your Facebook, you've got your Instagram and your Twitter. I'm going to quickly test those and see how those look. So here we are. That looks good. You've got the Facebook is looking sharp, and it's a page, which is good. I really don't recommend people link to their personal Facebook. Link to a page for your channel. You want to protect your privacy, and so that's good. And then you've got your Instagram here. So yeah, you've got a few, you got a link to your YouTube channel. Interesting, Hacker Vibe. Is that your custom URL? Yeah, that does bring us back. Okay, that's probably your username. You're at 35 subscribers, so yeah, it's user. I see it there now. So when you hit 100 subscribers, you are eligible for something called a custom URL, which I highly recommend that you get. And I think that with a channel like yours, you can hit 100 subscribers relatively quickly. Implementing some of my suggestions that I'll be making later in this video, I think you could probably hit it within a couple of months, depending on what we're working with, but I think it's quite possible. And then when you do, you'll have the opportunity to create a custom URL where instead of, youtube.com/user/hackervibe, and also hackervibe doesn't sound on brand at all. I mean, unless it's like machete hacking in the forest, if you're army maybe. Or maybe you were signals intelligence and a hacker as a result, kind of. I don't know. It's a cool name. I just don't think it's on brand with your channel at all. So I'm guessing maybe that's something that it used to be, and then you changed later. And hey, I was once Cowman. Long story. For a period, I was, Mad Cow Productions. It was a big mess. Now I'm Vacation Impossible for my travel channel and Small YouTubers Boost for here, where I'm supporting other creators. So anyways, then you'll have that shorter link where it's youtube.com/ and then boom, just your name. I recommend Branded Veteran. Or maybe even Branded Vet for short. Going for something shorter means less typing for people, and you can fit it in more places. It might look better on, something physical that you might give out. So, for example, when I was getting started, someone near and dear to me was very nice, and they got me some business cards. But back then, I had like 35 subscribers, and so the business cards they got me, I have them here for my Vacation Impossible, and then on the back, we have my email, my Twitter, my Facebook, and my Instagram. Because putting a very long channel name, or one that was like Cowman or something, that wouldn't have been so appropriate. I just dropped these here. Okay, we're doing this live to tape, in case you haven't noticed. But then later, after I got my custom URL, it opens up a lot more possibilities. So later, I was able to get these little square business cards. They're a little bit different shapes, so I think they get a bit of notice that way, a little easier to hand out if you were so inclined. And then on the back, I have my slogan, but I also have my custom URL right there, YouTube Vacation Impossible. And the other cool thing about that is you don't even necessarily need to make it like a URL when you are putting it on promotional things or like an email signature or sharing it in a Facebook group. And so I have this notepad that I got printed up from Vistaprint. And if you're looking for business cards, I do recommend Vistaprint. I don't have any links or anything. You can Google them. They're pretty awesome. And if you're curious about what kind of things they do, though, I do have a series of videos here on this channel. They used to do something called a promo box, which was quite cool. I actually have one of them here. They used to do promo box, where they would, for a set amount of money every month, send you just a random collection of things that they had mocked up for your brand. And that's actually where I got this. And actually where I got this. And so that was pretty fantastic. It's not available anymore, which is a shame, because I really benefited from their creativity at a very reasonable price. But if you want, there's like 3 or 4 videos of that. You could go check those out and see what they made for me. It might inspire something you might want to make for yourself. But again, I would wait until hitting 100 subscribers. So 100 subscribers, have a little celebration, dance in your living room. Go, they'll send you an email, go get the custom URL, and then perhaps begin thinking about things like this. But the point being is you can show here, without actually writing it as a URL, I just have the YouTube logo and then my channel name after it, because I don't need to type the .com, because people know that. People are relatively savvy. It shows that you respect the intelligence of the person you're giving it to, that you don't do everything for them in that sense. Can you imagine meeting maybe another YouTuber, and maybe you want to share your channel with them, right? And you're like, okay, so you need to go to the internet with https://www. They kind of be like, what is this guy's deal? I'm on YouTube. I know how the internet works. So anyways, just something to think about in terms of getting, having a goal. If you're someone who believes in, sort of manifesting a positive future, whether you believe in manifesting or not, or maybe just like having articulated goals. I really like Andrew Matthews. He talks about that quite a bit. Another person, if you're looking for something to read on about that, is Neil Pasricha. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. His book, You Are Awesome, is another one. It talks about having goals and writing them down. Andrew Matthews talks about the sheer act of writing a goal down increases your likelihood of hitting it 300% or something. It's an insane number. And then Neil talks a little bit about sort of reinforcing the things. People have vision boards, or just posting something on their mirror in their bathroom or on their fridge can be very motivating. So do whatever works for you. But if you're looking for a target goal at the current stage of evolution of your channel, 100 subscribers is the next milestone that's important, because it does turn on that very important next step. People ask me all the time, oh, when you hit 1,000 subscribers, does it get easier? When you hit 500, does it get easier? Honestly, the only metric, the only milestone where it does get appreciably easier is 100 subscribers, and that's because you get that custom URL, and sharing becomes so much easier, and things look more professional as a result. So that's something I look forward to hearing about from you. I'm sure that you'll be hitting it before too long. I don't know what your growth pattern is right now, but I would estimate a couple of months. In fact, let's go check that right now. One free tool that can be quite useful in terms of setting goals for yourself and understanding approximately where you're at on that journey is Social Blade. Now, they have some paid services. I don't think that's necessary. Just going in and looking at some of the free things, this can be very motivating. It can also be a way of sort of tracking if what you're doing is making a difference. Ignore that. You're right here. User's not found, but here he is. Don't lie to me, Social Blade. So, Social Blade probably didn't know who you were before today. My act of searching you just now probably got you put into their database. So they won't have the information that I was hoping to show you here. However, I'll quickly show you for my channel, Vacation Impossible, how this can look, because this can be kind of fun. They've got this Future Projections tab here, which is awesome. And so it will use sort of the pattern of growth that you've had over some period of time. I think it's at least the last 2 weeks, but I think it looks at more than that. I'm not sure exactly. And then it will project how long it takes you to hit certain numbers. So this is just future projections based on time. 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, etc., etc. Right now, my Vacation Impossible channel, which is suffering because of COVID, the projections are not as great as they used to be. They say in 5 years I'll have 5,000 subscribers and 1.7 million views. I aim to misbehave in that. I hope to frustrate them and overachieve on that. That's just where we're at a low point right now. But you can also see under subscriber milestones, it gives you specific numbers. So give it a couple of days and your channel will have some information on Social Blade where it can actually project for you. And you can kind of have a rough idea of whenabouts you'll probably be hitting that 100 subscribers. And don't count on it. It is a mathematical extrapolation and estimate, but you can start to build some plans around it. For example, looking on my views tab, I have a team that I work with for Vacation Impossible. I got a guy that writes music for me. I travel with a bunch of people. We're an ensemble. And so we share our successes. And a big, completely arbitrary number, but it feels like it'll be a big moment, is 1 million views. And right now we're projected to hit that in November of next year. But back in January, it was saying we were going to hit it in August. And so I was messaging a couple of people. I'm like, hey, we're probably going to hit it around August sometime. Let's at least go out for dinner at Olive Garden when we hit 1 million views. And I'll take you out for dinner and it'll be fantastic. And everyone's like, yeah, that'll be great. I'm just a big fan of the Olive Garden. It's just random. But that's one way you can kind of keep an eye on the potential future growth for your channel. And then if there is something where you want to do something to celebrate a milestone, in terms of like, 100 subscriber video, I'm not fond of those. I think those get dated fast and they don't drive new traffic. You can do something like that on other platforms. Like if you had a Patreon, your patrons might love that. You could have a little party, you could have a balloon. I blew up this balloon during a live stream after we hit 200,000 members in our Facebook group. So people, I think, got a little kick out of that. It wasn't its own video. It was just a few minutes to launch a live stream that was celebrating, and then I got into my value and stuff pretty quick from there, pivot sharply. But this way, you can kind of have a rough estimate of where you're going. And this can be very motivating. It's like, oh, you think it's going to take me that long, do you? I'll show you. Nothing motivates me like somebody telling me I can't do a thing. That's part of where Vacation Impossible comes from. They were like, oh, you can't, go on this... You can't go on vacation every other month. And then in 2016, I went on 6 cruises. You were saying? Different people are motivated by different things. But me, it's like, be careful what you tell Ray he can't do, because then he'll go full on for that. So it was just going through your social links. They look like they're all set up properly because it's pulling the icons correctly. Sometimes when people set it up, they forget part of the URL or just don't format it in a way that YouTube is friendly with, and so it doesn't pull the icon, but you've done it correctly, so that's good. Other people watching can benefit from that. So I see here that you do have a Twitter, and I think this is good because it's consistent, branded veteran. I would recommend using the same profile picture across multiple social media, though, because some social media platforms, and Twitter is one of them, they give verified check marks to people, but it's not necessarily based on how many followers you have, although that's one thing they look at. YouTube, it's sort of like you hit X number of subscribers and then you'll probably get it. But most other platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, they look at more than that. They take a holistic approach where they try to see what is your internet presence writ large. And they try to see, do you have consistent presence on other social media with the same kind of content and the same kind of color scheme and graphics. I notice it doesn't look like there's a banner here, so your YouTube banner, you can probably play with it so that the size dimensions match Twitter. Again, you can Google the banner dimensions for Twitter and get those very easily, and then have a banner here. And try to have the banner and the profile picture as consistent as you can across multiple platforms so that when Instagram or Twitter or somebody comes along and says, oh, hey, maybe we should verify this person. There's a lot of reasons why a platform might verify someone. It could be because there are a lot of imposters out there and there's becoming brand confusion. Maybe somebody tried to hack into the account or something. Maybe you're becoming an authority in some area. Maybe you're caught up in some news story. There's a lot of different reasons why a platform might want to say specifically, no, we know that this person is who they say they are. And so for, again, not YouTube necessarily, on other platforms, they take that holistic approach. So like on Instagram, you can actually in the app go into the settings and request verification. They want you to take a picture of like some photo ID, a passport or something to send in. I've tried it twice and have yet to be approved, but they look at a lot of things, including how many followers you have, how active you are, how consistent, etc. And so by having that consistency, it's more professional and it increases the likelihood of getting one of those check marks. And when you get it in one place, then it becomes easier to get it in other places. And you begin to build your authority and own your brand. Which is fantastic. I like the fact that you're locking down your username on multiple platforms. And go whole hog with that. Get on Snapchat and TikTok and all that other stuff. Even if you never use it, just create an account with branded veterans so you lock down that username. And then in the future, you can use it. Or if you blow up overnight, if a famous person retweets you or the algorithm suddenly loves you, you get 1 million views overnight or something, and then other people, after you reach a certain level of success, invariably people come along and try to profit off of your hard work. And so by already having the username, having it locked down, having it as close to consistent as possible, having it with the same graphics and everything, that allows you to control your brand. You know, we're small YouTubers. You have literally 1 follower on Twitter. I get that. But I like to prepare for success. I mean, it's one of the things that that people like Andrew Matthews talks about in their books in terms of visualizing and have a positive self-talk for that success. So let's plan for that success. You know, don't worry about the taxes you'll have to file as a millionaire. That can come later. But there's certain things where when you start to find some success, you're desperately going to want a time machine to go back. And you're like, if I had only done this thing all those years ago or all those months ago, if it's a rapid growth, you'll be kicking yourself later. And these can be some relatively easy things. set it, lock it down, and forget it for now. You can always do more with it later when it comes to those other social media platforms that you may not already be on. It's interesting you have a link to YouTube here. Is it taking us back to the same channel? Or do you have a second channel? Let's see. It says view as subscriber, which is interesting for the link. It's taking a little while to load. One of the things that you can look at is how to create a link that is actually a subscribe link, which is kind of cool. I don't know why this is taking so long to load. But I'm guessing it's the same channel. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so right now that link is doing nothing for you. It's a recursive link. I would recommend removing it. Alternatively, what you can do is you can turn it into a subscribe button. I'm not sure that it's worth doing because you have a much larger subscribe button right here. But if you wanted to, here's how. I'm just going to quickly go to my channel, Vacation Impossible, so I can show you what the link looks like that I put on my videos. I think I have it in my channel.
At Vacation Impossible.
Oh. Okay, it's not fully written out here, but basically, after your channel name, you put a question mark, sub, underscore, confirmation equals 1. And then someone clicking that, when they click it, they immediately get a pop-up box that says, do you want to subscribe? So if you wanted that to be another subscribe button, and hey, there's nothing wrong with it, one more chance for them to subscribe, that's a fine philosophy. That's how you would do that. But right now, all it causes people to do is reload the page. And as you saw with me, it took a while. So that's not a great user experience. So those are my suggestions. Either remove it or convert it into an actual subscribe button. So we have some uploads here. I like a lot about what you're doing with your thumbnails here. You're using these boxes, these sort of rounded rectangles, to create a backing for your white font so it jumps out at you and easy to read. Fantastic. And so just looking here, 5 things the military doesn't tell you. That's cool. I like that sort of your face there. I would almost... For that, I would be tempted to make the box just a tiny bit smaller and a little bit higher so that we can see a little bit more of you. I think a big part of what's selling that particular video and thumbnail is your obvious frustration. And I think that could be both funny and interesting. So that's good. Surprise flowers for my wife. That's good. One of the things about text and thumbnails is less is more. And so you could probably drop the word my because it's implied. You could even possibly, for my wife, you could probably drop that off and just have surprise flowers because she's right there. And so I think that conveys that the flowers were for her. And so that's certainly a nice thing to do. Absolutely. I should probably do things like that more. I'm sure there's a small army of people that would agree. But that way you could also make it a little bit more focused. And it's a little tricky because obviously, like, she is in somewhat the mid ground. She's not in the background. She's not in the foreground. She's in the middle ground of the image that you're using. And so just thinking if there was any way that we could highlight her more. A common YouTuber trick is to kind of do the outline with the white outline. I actually don't know how to do that. It's not a tactic I use. I don't often find it enjoyable or enticing to me for thumbnails, but I think for a thumbnail like this, it might be worth considering. There's other different tactics you could use in terms of like make everything that's not her and the flowers black and white so she pops more. That might be an idea. You could also play with the brightness and contrast, vibrance and saturation settings on the background image if you have Photoshop or something else that has those kinds of functionalities that you could potentially use to make that a little bit more clear, to make that pop a little bit, maybe even zoom in on her a little bit. I set my friend on fire. You could probably drop the word I, just set my friend on fire. 1 exclamation point is probably sufficient. And then you could make the font just a little bit bigger. How country am I? I like that. That's funny. She did what with that? It's okay. She vomited and we locked eyes. That's very funny. And it's a perfect picture of you because it's like the shock and also holding back your own vomit, presumably. So that's very good. So in terms of the channel layout here, yeah, you're off to a decent start, but you'll notice that sort of the bottom half of the, or bottom third more so, of the screen is like not entirely complete. So you're going to want to flush this out a little bit. Now, again, not a lot of videos on this channel, but one thing you can absolutely do right away, and I recommend you do this immediately, upon viewing this video, open another window, come to your channel. There will be a blue Customize Channel button right around here. Click on that. Go to the bottom and look for the plus sign. And it'll be like Add New Section. And it will be Popular Videos, and put it as a horizontal playlist, single playlist. So then it will show all your videos organized by what has been viewed the most times. And you set it and forget it. You do this once and it will be there kind of forever. And then as videos, like one video becomes more popular than another, that list automatically, the sort on it automatically updates. So to set it and forget it, YouTube does the rest of the work for you. And then it looks more complete and there's more opportunities for people to click on more of your videos. There is the possibility, and particularly when your channel is younger and smaller, because I think you have 9 videos, we currently see 6 of them. If we added 6 more, there's going to be repeats, and that's okay, particularly when it comes to popular videos. That's relatively common. I think an audience is okay with that. When I go to look at a channel, sometimes how I evaluate my subscriber buying decision, whatever you want to call it, I will go to their popular videos and see what the most popular 2 or 3 are, maybe give those a watch. It's not a great process for determining best, because best is really about taste and it's arbitrary, but at least I can see what they're known for and what other people have seemed to have enjoyed a lot of. And so that's often, again, a little lazy. I want a shortcut. I don't want to have to do a big investigation. Just want to, hey, do I want to subscribe to this? Will it be good? What's the most popular videos? Yeah, this is awesome. All right. So I think that's something you can do now, today. But you do have 9 videos, as I recall, so not a whole lot there. And again, I like the consistency of the thumbnails, the readability. Those are really, really solid. Yeah, I think it's great. Your thumbnail game is strong. Another thing you can do about the flowers for the wife thing is you could get a little arrow that could come pointing in at her or something, just to draw the viewer's eye, as well as add a bit more of dynamicness to the image, if that makes sense. Take a look at your playlists here. So you've got 2 playlists, which is great. You got Military Stories and Truck Talk. Okay. I'm assuming that Truck Talk is you talking in your truck, not talking about trucks. But that is something to keep in mind in terms of clarity to people. So initially, because I'm not a truck guy, so when I see Truck Talk, I'm like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm like, oh no, wait a minute, that might be him talking in his truck, like some of those other, YouTubers and Facebook live streamers and people do. Military Stories, to me, is more interesting, but that's just my personal taste and interests. I think that's a great playlist to have. And so when you get your playlist to 6 or more videos, Truck Talk is a potential contender. You can see about adding them also to your homepage in the same way I told you to do the popular uploads. You just choose single playlist horizontal, and then it'll let you pick from your playlists. But you had 9 videos, and you have, oops, right, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 9, yeah. And you have 2 playlists. One consists of 6 videos, and one consists of 2 videos. So things don't add up here, because that is 8 videos and you have 9. A best practice to follow, and TubeBuddy will remind you of this as you use the browser plugin when you're uploading and editing videos and looking at videos, it will remind you to put it in a playlist. Every single video should be in at least one playlist. This is important for a few reasons. Let's take a look at the Military Stories playlist here for a moment. So if you were to come and look at this playlist just as I did, there would be an edit button where you could add a description over here, and I strongly recommend that you do that because it really helps with search engine optimization. So let's think about, okay, 5 things the military doesn't tell you. I think that's a fascinating concept. I would love to come back and watch that video. I can't believe you covered 5 things in less than 3 minutes. That's surprising to me. I want to check that out. And I might just do that on my own time. Because it's a channel review, not a video review. But, okay, so you got the word military in there. And it's in a playlist that says military as well. Excellent. That is beginnings of keyword alignment. You also want to have that word in the description, in the tags. It might be something you say, and if you say it and caption it, then it's there too. People in the comments might use the word as well. You could use the word in replying to them. All of these things build the algorithm's confidence that that's what your video is about. The more confident the algorithm, the more likely it'll show you to other people. But there's one place we're missing it, and that's the description of the playlist. I know, right? It's like, wow, how many places do I have to put this thing in? As many as possible. Now, you don't want to do it as many times as possible. If you just typed military, 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 military in the description of the playlist, that would not help you, and you could actually get in trouble with YouTube for something called keyword stuffing. So what I would recommend is writing a description that is in flowing, proper English sentences. So you could say something like, I served for 15 years, and let me tell you, the military leaves you tons of interesting stories, some of them hilarious, some of them terrifying. So join us as I relive that journey. You can use what I just said verbatim if you want. Go back and type it out. Go right ahead if you want. If it doesn't sound like your voice or you don't like it, that's fine. But do go and put some description on this playlist and try to have at least the word military and the word stories in there somewhere. But also trying to have synonyms can be helpful. There's this old joke, and I told it in one of my SEO videos. If you haven't watched my SEO videos, I recommend you check it out. I've got one for titles, one for descriptions, and one for tags is coming soon. One of the things I talk about is this old SEO joke where an SEO expert walks into a bar, pub, watering hole, tavern, saloon. You get the joke, I think. So the idea is that synonyms are powerful. So you could say, say military, veteran, armed services. You could mention what branch of the military you were in specifically as well. And by mentioning the branch, it niches down. Narrowing down helps find you an audience because the word military, obviously huge competition. For example, let's think about this here for a second. Military stories. I'm going to use my TubeBuddy browser plugin here to do a quick keyword explore for that term, military stories. So, it comes up with a poor score. Now, don't take that too personally, but what's going on here is there are 9.8 million videos with that. Huge competition, right? So some things here, military stories funny is one of the related things that TubeBuddy is suggesting. If you have the free version of TubeBuddy, some of these related and common tags will either not be there or you'll get limited results. I went whole hog and got the biggest package for TubeBuddy, so I have a pretty unending list of things. You probably don't need Legend like I have. Pro or Star is probably good enough. If you're finding the free version isn't quite getting you to where you want a little bit more value. And again, less than 1,000 subscribers, pay a year at once. It's less than $4 a month. Good investment. So, affiliate link down below. But funny. I mean, if this is funny, let's take a look at that. Oh, wait, that's actually showing you the results. So, that's one of the things you can do. You can click this little box to see the results. Or, I think if you click the thing, yeah, I was supposed to click the word, not the box. Look at that. Look at that. It went from a 12 and poor to an 80 and a very good, right? And how many millions of videos were you competing with before? Now you're only competing with 3.39 million. Why is this very good? Wait, hold on. Why you're still competing with a lot? But that's because the search volume is relatively high and the competition relative to the search volume is relatively low. So that is a sweet spot you've got right here. So, does syntax matter? Let's play around with it. What if we moved funny to the front? Not quite as good, interestingly. But still, compare that to the 12 that term was getting before. So if these stories are funny, put funny at the beginning for a pretty good improvement, put funny at the end for slightly awkward reading, but a much better search score. So these are things that you could potentially explore. You can play with this on your own time, look into it, and you can do this with playlist titles, phrases you use in the description of the playlist, video titles. This is how, if you're struggling to come up with an idea for your next video, some of the related and common tags and suggestions might spark an idea. As well, the tags that you use on the video, on your channel, on various things, this can be a great resource so that you understand, are people searching for this and how much competition is out there? If you can get high search volumes with low competition, that is the magic sweet spot for success. So anyways, for all playlists, there should be a description that should include the name of the playlist and sort of synonyms and in sentence form with other, keywords and things as much as possible. So let's go back to the channel here. Take a look. So I do suggest either adding one more video to a playlist or creating another playlist. You can have videos in multiple playlists. On my travel channel, Vacation Impossible, I will go on a trip where I'll be on a cruise ship. And on that cruise ship, I will film the buffet. I just released a video recently where I'm on the Carnival Vista and I film the buffet. So I have a playlist for the ship, the Carnival Vista. I have a playlist for cruise food, basically, or travel food. I think it's just a food playlist. And so I can put that video in both playlists, and that is not a bad thing. So you can double down on that. So, for example, on your playlist, if your truck talk is truly about you just happen to tell stories while sitting in your truck, which is cool, it's fine. Whether or not it's talking about your truck, maybe identify that in the description of the playlist. That's where you can flush that out. But let's say you're in the truck talking about a truck you drove for the military. Let's check all the boxes. So let's say that that's the case. Then you can add it to both playlists, and that's totally fine. And it can be helpful. More ways that people can watch your content. Maybe people don't care about the military stories and they love the truck talk. Or vice versa is probably more likely. So they can come and they can look at the playlist of the thing that they like, and then they could sit and maybe binge your content. And again, early days right now, 9 videos, that's fine. Think about a year from now when you've maybe got 100 videos or whatever, and somebody binging that. A lot of views, a lot of watch time, a lot of potentially likes and comments, interactions. Speaking of which, I got to fit it in here somewhere. If you're finding this video useful at all, do please give it a thumbs up. That tells me that I might want to create more of these sorts of videos. And it also helps other people discover this content as well, which I really appreciate. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, do subscribe with notifications on, so maybe you can join us early in a live stream. Maybe you get a free review. Let me know, what do you think about Branded Veteran in the comments? What do you think they're doing well? What do you think they could do a little bit different? Do you have any constructive suggestions? Maybe something that I've missed. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know. Let's see if we can help this vet really boost his channel. So let's dive a little bit here. I'm going to be using my TubeBuddy Channelytics, which is great. It's part of that browser plugin. You do get this with the free version. And let's take a look here. So we've been seeing, in terms of views, which is sort of what default shows up here, it looks like starting around May 18th, more so the 19th, started getting some sustained growth here. And in fact, since the 29th to the 31st, I'm recording this on May 31st, we've got a nice kind of growth pattern here. So that's great. So I'm seeing that May 19th looks like it was an important day, and May 28th. May 19th, had some videos come out. This may or may not be fully accurate, but I recommend doing no more than 1 video per day. The first 24 hours of a video is critically important. The way that YouTube looks at it as, YouTube is a global platform. And so if you release something, people in other countries might be asleep. But in the first 24 hours, everyone on the planet has had an equal opportunity to some degree to watch your video. And so the information that it gathers about your video, how long do people watch it for? Do they click like and comment? What kind of audience retention does it have? It's a very important first impression for the algorithm. And you only get that first day once. So I would recommend against having multiple videos having their same first 24 hours at the same time, because then they're kind of competing with each other. And we don't want to do that. So no more than 1 a day. If you can pull off 1 a week, that's great as a minimum. So somewhere between 1 a week and 1 a day is a sweet spot, but that's all about what you're comfortable and capable of putting out without having your quality suffer and without stressing yourself out or having the mental health suffer as well. But I would say if you do 4 in 1 day, it's much better if you do 1 a day for 4 days. The algorithm builds a sense of momentum and you get more of a reward for that. And your videos are then helping each other as opposed to competing against each other in that sense. But that does seem like that was an important day. And then some videos a little bit later. So that's interesting. Just going back to the views here. So I'm not seeing a direct correlation between this growth. So what I'm thinking is some of the videos that you put out on the 19th got you some views, and so there was something there that was good. And then I'm seeing something towards the end of the month where I suspect it was a matter of you sharing your videos in a somewhat effective way, probably on social media. That's just a guess. You can look at your analytics to see your traffic sources, and that'll probably tell you. Maybe you were just getting a lot of search traffic at the time. It depends. I don't know. I want to see what kind of subscriber growth you're having. So you had an amazing May 28th. You definitely did better than me that day. 16 subscribers on May 28th. That's amazing. What the heck did you do on May 28th? There's no new video. What was it? Did you share it somewhere? Did you change some thumbnails? What did you do? See if you can remember what you did on the 28th. If it was sharing, that sharing seems like it was strategically effective. So maybe that was the day you tried Reddit for the first time, or the day you were really active in, a comedy Facebook group or something. I don't know. Only you would know. Only the shadow knows. But I would recommend that you think back on that day. What did you do? And can I repeat it? And if so, without getting yourself kicked out of groups or becoming obnoxious or anything, but that might give you a sign of areas where you can target more of your time. Like if you're sharing things on Pinterest, and maybe you shared stuff on Pinterest at the beginning of the month and then nothing in the latter part of the month, and it was like the opposite on Twitter, well then spend the time on Twitter instead of Pinterest. You can still quickly share, but like be a little bit more strategic, reply to people, follow, comment, whatever, maybe on the platform that's actually bringing you the views. And so you can be a fulsome member of that community. Channel tags here that you've got. So you've got a good number of them, which is great. Vlog, I'm not sure is helping you much. Maybe like assuming that you're vlogging from your truck, you could say that, vlogging from my truck. Truck vlog, something like that. That might be more effective than just the word vlog. And so a lot of the stuff you've got here is really good. Army fun. I'm kind of curious about that. How does that score? And so you're kind of hopefully seeing here that you can do this with your channel tags too to kind of get a sense. Army fun. Huh. Okay. But funny army videos. A little bit better. A little bit better. So you kind of see that you can plug these in to the Keyword Explorer, and it might have some suggestions for things that might perform a little bit better. So I think you've got some good stuff there in terms of that. I think that's really good. Let's go take a quick look at your About. Good old Hacker Vibe, who no longer goes by Hacker Vibe. Doesn't seem to be loading. It's weird. That is me, not you. That is probably my browser or my internet being finicky, which it normally isn't. But yeah. So let's just go take another quick look at your Twitter here. Looks like you're sharing some videos here on Twitter. That's very good. My advice for sharing on Twitter, when you click share, it automatically adds this via YouTube thing. I delete that because I think it just clutters things and it gives somebody something to click on that isn't you. And what I would also suggest is possibly hitting enter afterwards and then maybe adding a hashtag or 3 for each of these. But otherwise, it looks like you're sharing these very well. I'm seeing older style thumbnails here, so I think that you've recently upped your thumbnail game. And I would say that you are very much headed in the right direction with these new thumbnails. Maybe that's what you did on that day that got a whole bunch of traffic. I think that's very exciting. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. Let me know, branded veteran, in the comments what you thought. Are you planning on implementing any of the specific suggestions that I mentioned? Do you have any questions about things? I might be able to point you to other resources that could be helpful. I think the big resource today, if you don't already have it, would be TubeBuddy. One way that I can kind of get a sense of that is take a quick little. So it looks like you're following the best practices pretty well. TubeBuddy's been a little finicky about info cards, so you may or may not have been adding info cards to your videos, but you should. It looks like you're doing some of the other things. And look at this, 5 things the military doesn't tell you. You're ranking #1. So I'm suspecting maybe you already have TubeBuddy. But anyways, I also recommend check out my SEO video on descriptions. Because I think your description here could be beefed up just a little bit. But it looks like you're doing a lot of stuff right here in terms of how you're managing these videos. You're pinning and hearting comments, sharing on Twitter and Facebook. Not looking like it's been shared on Reddit, though. So if you're looking for a safe place to play on Reddit and learn the ropes, I've created the Small YouTubers Boost subreddit. And so that has similar rules as our Facebook group does. And so you can go check that out. and post here with relative safety. And you can see what it looks like when you share a link versus text that happens to contain a link and things like that. So I think that kind of concludes the channel review. Looks like it's been just under an hour, so hopefully you got good value out of that and it's worthwhile. Let me know. And yeah, thanks so much for reaching out. This was fun for me. This could be a whole new thing. It's very exciting. And yeah, I noticed that you have joined us in the live stream, so I look forward to seeing you in subsequent live streams, the Facebook group, and maybe also the subreddit. So thanks so much, and yeah, we'll see you in the next live stream, hopefully. Thanks for watching.